4 days of tense negotiations in Istanbul. Headlines said the talks had collapsed. Pakistan's delegation was ready to fly home. But then something shifted. At the last moment, Turkey stepped in and both sides decided to stay, to give peace one more chance. I'm Omer Farooq Khan, and this is Axis Pakistan. Today, we are diving deep into why Pakistan chose to extend the Istanbul talks, what's really being negotiated behind those closed doors, and how India once again quietly looms in the background. So here is what we know, what we now know. The Pakistan-Afghanistan talks in Istanbul, uh, what we thought had broken down, are back on. Uh, According to security sources, this revival at the request of Turkey, which has been quietly mediating between the two delegations, uh, Turkey played a key role as a responsible country, as a responsible state, giving rather more, making its position rather more credible. So it enhanced its credibility further. A Pakistani security official told journalists that Islamabad decided to give another chance to peace, but on one very clear condition, that Afghanistan must take clear, verifiable, and effective action against militants using its soil to attack Pakistan. That's the main demand. And it hasn't changed since Doha, or since the first round that produced a temporary ceasefire earlier this month. The Pakistani delegation, which was already packing up to leave Istanbul, has now extended its stay. That small detail, staying a few more days, says a lot. It signals that despite the tough rhetoric of the last 48 hours, diplomacy isn't dead yet. Just a quick rewind. The Islamabad round began with the cautious optimism, but as talks stretched into a fourth day, both sides hit the same wall they did in Doha: trust and verification. Pakistan wanted Kabul to commit to specific, trackable steps against the TTP, something that could be monitored and reported. The Taliban delegation resisted that language, saying it infringed on their sovereignty. That's when tempers flared and Pakistan's information minister announced the talks had collapsed. Then came the late night post from Defense Minister Khwaja Asif, a strongly worded warning that went viral. Let's recall that message briefly, because it's now shaping how the next phase of talks will proceed. Asif warned the Taliban that if they wish to test Pakistan's resolve, they should do so at their own peril and doom. He said Pakistan had borne treachery and mockery for too long, and that any terrorist attack inside Pakistan would be met with force. Those words weren't random, they were calibrated deterrence. They set the tone. Pakistan is willing to talk, but not to tolerate. And now with the talks revived, Asif's message lingers as a shadow over the negotiation table. But Asif didn't stop there. In his latest statement, he added another layer, and this one changes the regional equation. He said Pakistan has evidence that India is pulling the strings behind the scenes, that New Delhi is waging a low intensity war uh, from Afghan soil to settle scores. And it's after its confrontation with Pakistan earlier this year in May, last May. That's a serious claim, and it fits into a broader pattern of concern within Islamabad security establishment that that the instability in Afghanistan isn't just organic, it's being exploited. If that's true, or even partly true, it explains why Pakistan is doubling down on verification mechanisms and refusing to rely on trust. And it also means that these Istanbul talks aren't just about TTP and border control. They are about regional influence, proxies, and strategic denial. Let's talk about Turkey for a moment. Ankara's role here is not new. It's been quietly positioning itself as a diplomatic bridge between South and Central Asia. By persuading both sides to stay in Istanbul, Turkey has earned credibility as a neutral facilitator. For Pakistan, that's hopeful. Uh, it allows Islamabad to engage Kabul under a friendly umbrella without appearing to be pleading for talks. And for the Taliban, Turkey's involvement provides face-saving cover. It's easier to resume dialogue if a brotherly country is requesting it, not if you appear to be giving into Pakistan's pressure. This mediation could become a model for future rounds if it works. Uh, a Doha 2.0, but with Istanbul as the new neutral ground. Remember, Pakistan still holds the strongest non-military card, trade and transit control. After the first round in Doha, Islamabad sealed the Torkham and Chaman crossings, hitting Afghan fruit and vegetable exports during their peak season. Uh, the move hit hard. Apples, grapes, melons, pomegranates, tomatoes, all stuck at the border. It was a signal. Pakistan can squeeze without shooting. Now, even as talks resume, that leverage remains in place. Trade has been partially restored, but Islamabad can tighten or ease restrictions as bargaining chips. That's the quiet part in this diplomacy. Uh, Economic deterrence instead of military confrontation. Now let's zoom out. This isn't just another round of bilateral talks. It's a struggle over how Afghanistan will coexist with its neighbors, and whether Pakistan can secure its western border without slipping into a cycle of blame and retaliation. At the heart of this lies one line that Pakistani officials keep repeating: Afghan soil must not be used for terrorism against Pakistan. Simple on paper, almost impossible in practice, because enforcing it means pressuring a regime that doesn't fully control its own militant ecosystem. Still, the fact that Islamabad stayed in Istanbul after such a public fallout shows a rare mix of firmness and restraint. It's diplomacy by grit, not glamour. At the same time, Islamabad is walking a fine line. To the east, there's India, a neighbor that may be preparing to restore its pre May security posture. To the west, there's Afghanistan, volatile, unpredictable, and increasingly defiant. So Pakistan faces a two front challenge again. That's why extending the Istanbul talks wasn't just about peace, it was also about buying time, keeping one front cool while managing signals on the other. Pakistan still enjoys quite support from China, Iran, and the Gulf countries, all of whom want stability. The West, led by the US, also publicly backs the goal of ending cross-border militancy. That alignment give Pakistan some diplomatic comfort, but not a blank check. Regional patience will wear thin if these negotiations turn cyclical or if violence spikes again. So Islamabad's challenge now is to show progress, not perfection, but momentum. So what happens next? The extended talks in Istanbul will likely focus on defining what uh, verifiable action actually means. Does it involve intelligence sharing, joint patrols, cross border monitoring? None of that is simple, but it's doable if both sides agree on process rather than pride. For now, the tone from Islamabad is firm but pragmatic. The phrase we are hearing again and again from security officials is we are giving peace another chance. And that's a telling choice of words. It's not optimism, it's calculation, a cold, strategic patience. So, yes, the Istanbul talks stumbled, they nearly collapsed, but they didn't end. Pakistan stayed, Turkey mediated, and for now, the door to dialogue is still open. It's a fragile pause, held together by diplomacy, leverage, and the hope that uh, sanity still outweighs stubbornness. Because the alternative, open confrontation, would be a disaster for both sides. This is something to be uh, understood and seriously taken into consideration. I'm Omer Farooq Khan, and this was Axis Pakistan.